doing
3 if they went and lost this game. Cool, I don't know.
They've got another game
Champions
later
Select though, nevertheless. So let's not get carried away just yet on these facts and figures. Rise has been banned out, so taking that away from Mima straight away. Twisted Fate as well from Bjergsen, or effectively a global ban. We just saw how strong it can be if given the right champion, the right player. Froggen pulled it out as the last pick, by the way, in that last match, and worked out tremendously well for him. Elise and Shen being banned away from the likes of Darian and Diamond, so no surprises.
And interestingly, Gambit are the ones banning out Evelyn, taking that one away. When they are first pick, and we know how much Diamond actually likes that Eve, they're denying that from NIP.
From Mima.
Yes, he likes to play the stealthy, assassin-y champions. I believe he likes Rengar as well.
Rengar and Mima, yeah. Yes. But I'd be gobsmacked if they allow him to play Rengar in the top lane, but I'd actually be pleasantly surprised, because I still remember Salme's Rengar in the top lane at IPL 5, where he just ran through in the actual base of the enemy. 4 people on him, and he just stealthed, jumped over the wall, and said, "See ya," flashed away.
I was talking to NIP during lunch, and they were actually discussing different champion positions, and one of the things Bjergsen was talking about is how effective Tryndamere is in the mid lane against a Zed. And he was like, yeah, I really want to do it. My team just doesn't let me. And it's one of the situations where you do have to come to a consensus as a 5-man unit. We do see Gambit, they have locked in that Thresh, so Voidal going to be rocking out the Thresh, and we'll see if he can contest for that Thresh Prince title. And well, he's so coveted.
He did say, he says, I'm kind of the same as Edward, you know. It was
big
like,
words.
Yeah, I mean, you've thrown the gauntlet out yourself, mate. You put the pressure on your own back, and it's seeing if it works out for him. Of course, Maluna has insta-locked in Jarvan, because that is his champion of choice these days.
Yeah, it's his most played champion. This will be the 5th time that he's played it out of the 21 games that they've played this split. And he's had mixed results. One half the games that he's played. We do see the AD carry of Caitlyn being locked in once again. Another comfort pick here for Freeze. And interesting to see that they've decided to go the AD carry route. Because Gambit have locked in a support, it means that they're not pressured to lock in the likes of a Nami or even a Sona, depending on what Deficio wants to play in this matchup.
Yeah, a little disgusted with the Draven these days at 3.9. He's not happy. Poor old Freeze. So instead, he's going with that, and looking like Udyr may get selected again for Diamond. It's a champion he's preferred to stick with these days, and I always think Udyr is actually, as a jungler, to be picking early on, it's actually fairly dangerous, because we've seen so many times that while may well work fantastically well in solo queue, you got to remember these teams know how to crowd control champions, and they're just going to see that and think, okay, we're going to actually negate Diamond out of this game, pick a lot of CC.
Yeah, and it's also something Udyr suffers from similarly to Anasis, that if he does get locked in, like a Cataclysm, for example, you basically negate that presence very early on. So for counter ganking, the Jarvan is very, very effective and powerful in those early stages of the game against an Udyr. So we'll see how the rest of the lock-ins go. Bjergsen has basically got every single mid laner open and available to him, and we do already know the duo lane there for Gambit. So they're leaving their top and their mid laners for counterpick. They want to see what composition does NIP wrap around that we can then decide to throw in there.
I'm also semi-disappointed we're not getting Karma in the jungle again.
It was something that I think a lot of people were talking about. There were so many articles about the utility that it brings to the jungle. Diamond had a fantastic blog post on his Facebook page where he's talking about how effective the utility and damage is on Karma. But you need to have a composition that can work around it. You need to have that mobile. You need to be able to get in and out and juke and things like that. So we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, we did see Karma in the top lane yesterday as well. So
yeah, we did. That was Kerp.
It's another possibility.
Kerp insisted it's still very strong. Nami has been selected, so we've got Nami and Thresh.
Deficio's most played champion. 8 times this split already. So this will be the 9th time that we're seeing some fishy business go down. The thing that's very impressive about Deficio's Nami is his KD ratio is 12. He's got a 12 KDA on that fish.
Well, Zach being locked in, but Aatrox also being locked in. So will be Darian back on Aatrox again.
So we've seen it, and again, also hit and miss. We've seen a game that was very good, a game that was not so good. And in this composition where you've got the Udyr already, you've got the Aatrox who need to run at you, if Maluna times his Cataclysm right and locks Aatrox after he's jumped, you need to wait for that Dark Flight to land. You can lock him and you can contain some of his damage. Even with his Rampage ultimate on, the range is not going to be too significant that if you just step a couple steps away from the Cataclysm, it'll work. But there's a lot of onus on Maluna to control that.
Yeah, that's now Udyr and Aatrox he's got to control. Putting a little pressure on him now. Ahri, though, we haven't seen Alex Sich on Ahri for
a while.
I don't remember when.
Yeah, Alex has been playing a lot more champions this split than we've seen during the summer split. He tended to trend towards a sort of assassin-y type champions in the spring split, rather. That's what I wanted to say. And now in summer, he's diversifying his champion pool and adding multiple layers to things that'll work and benefit. And this is a great pick against a Jarvan, against a Tidal Wave Nami, against a Zac that's bouncing all up in your face. You just use that Spirit Rush, get out of the danger zones and keep yourself safe.
Well, I had an inkling that he played it. No, it was Orianna instead. I had an inkling he played it in week 1, but it wasn't. It was Orianna, and it was Orianna he played yesterday as well, I believe.
His Orianna in week 1 blew our minds, where he was simply unstoppable. Yesterday,
oh god, that was the one he wouldn't die in,
never got a
it?
chance. He never got a chance to really shine yesterday, so that was something that didn't really play into his favor.
Well, he wasn't diamond,
so... not this time, unfortunately. To round out the NIP roster, they're going to go for an assassin, and they've actually decided to go with Fizz, so repeating the Fizz performances that we've actually been seeing quite a lot this split. I'm going to go on a limb and say it's definitely trending up.
They were talking about actually Ocelot on Fizz yesterday as well, so just earlier on today, saying about how they were saying, oh, he's great in a team fight. Boom, locked in. Ocelot locked in. They're like, oh, okay, you're going to play him.
So the thing that I love about this Fizz pickup, you've got a very telegraphed attack here from Gambit. Aatrox's going to run at you, then jump at you. Udyr's going to run at you, then Bear Stance launch at you. So if they're just running at you like that, you just put Chum the Waters down. Throw your fish on them. That slows them down. It's going to deal damage. It also works fantastically against Ahri. If you can fire before Alex can react, even if he dashes and runs the hell away.
Over the charm.
Yeah, exactly. But if he gets caught with a fish, the damage will land, and it's going to force Alexic out of the fight. So I think that's a very smart pickup here for Bjergsen.
Well, we'll see how it works out for him. They are the players, Gambit. On your screen, Alexic with his new haircut. It's the second player to have a new haircut. It seems to be working out well for Yellow Pete so far. The rest of Ninjas in Pyjamas, Defrigio, as it's been known in that bottom lane, or Sunburnio, I think is probably the better choice of words, but it seems at the moment. Freeze actually over his sunburn, by the way. He was not in a good way, let's put it that way. There was ambulances called.
Yeah, he was burnt to the core. In terms of Fizz, he's got a pretty good win-loss ratio, 75%. So the numbers are still relatively low, only been played 5 times. It's 80% then, 1-4, lost 1. So we'll see how this particular matchup goes. And it's going to be, the laning phase is going to be very, very important for both of these teams. And I think if NIP can get a straight-up 2v2, they'll try to push for it. Caitlyn, Nami is going to be able to have a lot of fun against Varus Thresh at the early levels.
While we're having fun, I feel we need to educate the crowd right now. The German name for ambulance is immaculate.
It's a Krankenwagen.
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 It's quick, call the Krankenwagen. It's not really rolls off the tongue like, oh my God, we need an ambulance. Oh my God, we need a Krankenwagen. It's things you learn in Germany. It's just,
ladies and gentlemen,
beautiful.
Welcome to the European LCS from Cologne, Germany. If you ever need help, that's the word you're looking for.
We are live though, ladies and gentlemen. The blue team is Gambit and the red team is Ninjas in Pyjamas. And, well, we'll see how this one goes. Both these teams picked up losses yesterday, not really what they were after. And they are going to be looking desperately for one of those wins.
Yeah, while we're looking at Aatrox on screen really quickly, you'll see that his passive, the Bloodwell, will start to generate those stacks based on his auto attacks that he's dealing. And as long as that little bar below his HP is red, it means his Bloodwell passive is active, and he will come back to life with that sort of GA type of ability. But if it's gray, he will actually die. So that's something to keep your eyes on once we get into these team fights.
Well, they are standing on top of a ward, so Ninjas in Pyjamas know exactly where they are. Teleport was picked up by Bjergsen. I'm not sure if we quite mentioned that at the start.
Teleport Ignite, no
Teleport
less.
Ignite, yeah, not flashing at all. Nothing flashy about Bjergsen in this game.
We do see 3 Ignites on the side of Ninjas in Pyjamas. So once again, they're trending towards multiple Ignites. It is mirrored by Gambit, and it basically just signals we want to fight, we want to get early kills. It's something that's definitely very helpful, especially when you've got that Ignite in your support.
So while the invade was there from Gambit, oh, they are going to stick around. They're putting heavy ward presence actually around to check out that red buff. They will manage to get in there, but nothing aggressive coming out from Ninjas in Pyjamas. They were completely passive in the opening 2 minutes of this game.
Yeah, very defensive wards from NIP, and I think the duo lane of that Caitlyn Nami, it does look like they're trying to match up against the duo lane of Gambit with Genji and Voidal. The one thing that I am noticing is that Alexic is not willing to play with the fish. So he's gone top lane, and Gambit have actually sent their duo to the mid.
Oh, so it's going to be Zach and Zmima up against Alexic. This is a lane that he may have played in solo queue, but certainly wasn't expecting to play here in the European LCS for Ninja Pyjamas in his second week.
This is going to be very difficult for Darien to deal with in the bottom lane against the slow of Nami and the range of Caitlyn. It's going to be very painful. Mima against Alex should be a little simpler, basically because of Mima's sustain that he's going to have from that cell passive of his. Just get the HP back on each of his ability costs.
What do you mean cell division?
I don't cell division, thank you. I've never actually learned passives. It is a weakness.
Yes! I knew one that he did, ladies and gentlemen. Only because Joe was using it non-stop the other week. But nevertheless, Diamond is going to come around and he's actually stealing away the Wraith here. Maluno is about to come check it. And he's thinking, do I go in there? Nope, because there is a big angry man, bear man pig staring at me. He had the ward there, had the vision. There's a ping ward as well they put down there to clear the vision away. Comes straight back around, and you just can't counter against a bear man pig like that. And this is really what you do as UD. You just counter the hell out of the opposition jungle, and he just can't do a thing right now. He's just had his race stolen away from it. Just walked straight in. They both had double buffs, but he just couldn't go toe-to-toe with Diamond.
No, not in the slightest. And it's something that the low-level Udias are so great at doing, is the dueling. Because he's got a shield, because he's got a massive amount of lifesteal that he gets from his turtle stance, and the on-hit damage from his Tiger, it works into his favor. And it is a Tiger stance Udia that we're seeing from Diamond Prox. It's something that he's been doing more and more of over the course of the summer split. Once he hits level 4, I do expect a second point in that queue.
Diamond maybe pay a visit to this top lane against Mima. Maybe try and force that passive to pop there. But that bottom lane, we saw just how low Darien was. You can see him flashing red in that top left-hand corner of the character screens. But instead, he is going to get away. Diamond, though, he's going to get aggressed on. Just pops that bear shield. Now, it's got the double buffs on. There's a lot of damage coming out here. Maluno maybe wants to lock in towards him. Will it turn towards Alexic, who was very low on mana himself. Can get the slowdown on him, but he will back away.
It's a lot of good damage from NIP, and one thing that we noticed on the combo when they came in, the knock-up from Zach, then followed by the knock-up by Jarvan. If you look down the rest of the NIP composition, knock-up from Fizz from the ultimate, knock-up from Nami from the tidal wave, you cannot reduce the effectiveness of knock-ups. So when these teamfights break out, if they land them, that's a lot of very, very hard CC going to be landing in Gambit.
Well, meanwhile, this bottom lane, look how low that turret is already. 5 minutes gone, this turret will be down. Darien also already taken a lot of abuse, had to go back, gets caught in the Aqua Prism, pulls over Peacemaker, goes back across. He's already low again. Maluno, he comes across Voidal in that mid lane. Good play, though, comes back out in reaction to it. Death Sentence lands, he may well be enough. Piercing arrow on towards Maluno, forces it back there. Bjergsen tries to get away from that one as well. Good engage.
Maluno got dropped to about 220 odd HP. If Voidal had followed up the Death Sentence and put the Ignite down, that could have been first blood, but he saved it. He didn't want to play over-aggressive. He didn't really want to go too deep.
Well, Bjergsen's getting caught out. He's got the stacks on him. I can remember
Blighted Quiver.
Blighted Quiver. It's 1-1.
1-1. I said Krankenwagen, it's 2-1. So right now, 3-man stack for Gambit. I'm pushing down this mid lane tower. They've got this one down. They're going to try and reply as NIP. Their dual lane is still sitting in the bottom, and there comes Mima.
Well, he jumped across the trees. That was nice of him. Didn't engage, so there was no reason, no way to engage that one, because they had already taken the turret. So 1-1 in turrets, and Gambit are still pushing. Actually, down the bottom here, Darien is not backed off, as I suspected he would, and suddenly DeFrigio realized that and said, you know what, I reckon we could probably kill him here.
So Darien is sticking to his, the abilities of Aatrox, trying to farm up with that blood price in his queue, but he's been slowed up. Bubble doesn't land, though.
Yeah, they just force him to back away. They're like, okay, you want to push. We'll see how far you really want to push this one. Forced him to jump well away from that one. They haven't gone yet. They could try and zone him out here.
Yeah, the one thing that we are seeing from Darien is he's maxing his E, the Blades of Torment, because he's been forced to farm from range. Because his abilities cost his HP, it's a little easier to manage it in lane. Mima and Alex have reset, and they've transitioned from the top to the middle. Basically, Alex does not want to face off against Bjergsen's Fizz at all.
No, it doesn't want to be into that, and we can see that Genji and Void will make their way through that tri-bush in towards that top area. So Freeze and Deficio, they back off. They haven't just hit level 6 yet, though, so they're just short of that one. So they're going to go back and buy. It's a BF sword coming straight out from Freeze this time around, and the Ruby Crystal for Deficio.
So that is definitely going to help out Freeze in terms of the raw damage. He's got about 25 extra ahead of Genja right now. When you combine that with the on-hit damage that Nami's going to give, that's a lot of additional damage at very safe, at no cost, because Freeze's immense range will allow him to land it easily and safely.
So they have actually returned back to that bottom lane, so they want to keep Darian pinned down, it seems, and maybe with that additional damage they have just picked up, they may well be able to have the poke to do that one. I'm wondering whether he's going to use the ace in the hole to try and keep the damage down. Voidal trying to be aggressive on Mima, but he's quite happy to give it back, and now Bjergsen coming across for that blue buff, perfectly timed. Yeah,
I think the game's a little bit weird right now, in that Freeze, after taking down the bottom tower, has continued to stay in that lane. So if Freeze and Deficio stick around, they'll most likely be warding up this bottom half of the jungle and either pushing the tower, or instead keeping the numbers advantage and going to take an early dragon.
Yeah, and it does look like Gambit wanted to react to this one as well. We see Diamond and Alexich closing in. Darian not really making any movement from the side, so this is simply harass coming out from Gambit, seeing if they could get in and go, but no, that's going to be the ultimate call on towards Alexich. Diamond's going to get locked down. He gets taken down first blood. That's going to be a second one. The Ignite should tick down. Alexich drops there, but while that's all happening, the top lane had some action. Miner gets dropped as well. Darian comes back in. He picks up a kill. Can he get a second on Freeze? Yes, he will. It's going to get another one. No, Deficio is going to get the support of Bjergsen, and he's forced to back away. It was Maluna was the other kill that went in there. Darian, I don't think he's done and dusted yet. I think Bjergsen should be able to close this one. No, he's got enough to jump away from it.
Blades of Torment is going to slow Bjergsen down, so they end up trading 3 deaths on the side of NIP to 2 deaths on the side of Gambit. First blade was picked up by Bjergsen, so he scored that in his favor, and Dragon was secured by Maluna, so it works out for them.
Worked out very well for Gambit, and that's actually keeps them, despite the fact that they did lose that Dragon, despite the fact they lost that first blood, they are still very tight in gold. Just 300 between the two at the moment. Alexich, so he didn't have his blue buff, so luckily for him, he hadn't gone to pick that up just yet, as opposed to Bjergsen, who had picked it up. So instead, that will be gifted across to him just a moment's time. Now we do finally see the lane swap, so they were sticking around purposely for that Dragon. And now it's going to be Deficio in that top lane.
Very importantly, both of the kills that NIP secured landed in Bjergsen's back pockets. And as one of, I don't want to say, you know, one of the most important playmakers, but he's definitely one of the players that is responsible for helping the team get ahead. If he can insta-give people with a full combo from that fizz, it's going to make their life easier, but that one misses.
Missed it this time around. Jump the waters, he's going to have to jump away. Playful Trickster in there. Remember, he doesn't have Flash as a summoner spell because he went for that teleport Ignite. But with that Playful Trickster, you can just bounce away from anything.
Yeah, well played by Alexich to at least just sidestep the Chum the Waters there. The Lobster flew wide and he managed to keep himself alive. Mima is now 1v1 against Darian, and I think Darian's actually going to have a bit of an advantage in this matchup if Mima goes into fight.
Darian did a very good job actually when he joined the fight eventually in that bottom lane. Did manage to get himself a kill. In terms of farm, he's doing a fantastic job. 75 to effectively 46 of Mima, so a long way ahead in that lane. And if you compare also the fact that Bjergsen's fell quite heavily behind on Alexich, this is actually not looking bad for Gambit.
Yeah, and it's something that Gambit did. They started the lane swaps in their favor. NIP did not respond in kind. They basically said, well, we'll deal with this. They left their lane as 1-1-2. And it basically has resulted in Gambit having this early CS advantage, and it's working in their favor.
Well, Freeze and Deficio back in towards this top lane, 2v2. And they're both at level 7, or should say all 4 at level 7 apart from that. No, I'll tell a lie, Deficio's still at 6. Slacking.
He'll be there soon enough.
He's just hit 7, finally.
So he's getting closer and closer to having a max rank Tidecore's Blessing, that's the E, which adds around about 70 or so damage per auto attack for 3 auto attacks, and that is a lot of additional damage. So if Genja does take some poke early, it means poke plus a bubble equals death. Whereas if he manages to get some good piercing arrows down, that plus a death sentence will secure a kill. So it all depends on which AD carry can poke more effectively.
Oh, Diamond's been spotted out by that ward. He just trotted past. There's an Aqua Prison on towards Genja. Yes, not quite the speedy combo we're used to seeing there with the 90 caliber net and the Piltover Peacemaker combo. But instead, Genja did still get caught by both of them.
Yeah, and it was actually quite interesting seeing Freeze decide to go for the Piltover as opposed to just auto-attacking, because he did have that Nami bonus damage on him. At the end of the day, they're just trading back and forth, farming up as much as possible. NRP stood right on top of a ward, so Alex should be able to juke and dodge Chum the Waters relatively easily in that mid lane.
Yeah, not so sneaky there right now. Both stood on top of that ward, directly on top of it as well. So Bjergsen's like, fine, I'll just continue farming. Alex is like, nope, nope. And he just lines it up and farms out the wave. No problems at all. AD carries, let's have a look at those two, because we are seeing Genja, who went for the Berserker Greaves instead, so he's got speed and mobility, and he's going to need that right now because Bjergsen's coming around the side. He has got that Chill the Waters available, and they are lined up perfectly for him. They're going to catch on towards one. It will be Voidal. He gets dropped. Can they get on towards Genja? No. Bjergsen gets taken down. It's a shutdown for Alex Ditch. Nicely played.
They trade 1-for-1, and very importantly, the kill goes to Freeze, so that does help. Unfortunately, they've given a kill now over to Alex Ditch, so if you look down the kill score, 1-1-1-1-1, Gambit starting to play a little bit of binary. Ninjas in Pyjamas focusing on the top lane tower, while Diamond Prox is trying to steal away that blue buff.
Oh, and they're going to go towards Alex Ditch. They're sliding. Cataclysm's there. One more hit will do it, and it's going to be Freeze that takes the kill once again. While this is all happening, though, look at Darian. He's putting pressure on the middle turret. Blue buff was stolen by Diamond, so Gambit are trying to take advantage despite the fact they're being caught out in the top lane.
Yeah, Diamond's doing very, very well in the jungle. He's basically spent half of his time in his jungle farming and half in NIP stealing stuff away. So as long as he can keep that presence up, he's going to be a very scary threat. Also, if you look at his build, he's picked himself up a Doran's Blade, which is something we're seeing him do a little more frequently whenever he plays Udyr.
For me, Darian's art is starting to become a real problem as well. He's just been roaming around. You can see he's built up that Bloodthirster almost now. He doesn't really have any cares about who comes at him in the lane right now.
No, it's a very scary prospect once that Aatrox does get a Bloodthirster built up, because not only does it stack on all the damage of his Bloodthirst and Blood Price, it just gives him even more sustain. And he's basically just a perma-sustain champion. And the only threat to that is Bjergsen, who's just been caught.
Oh, just about manages to playful trickster out that charm at the right time as the hook and the death sentence doesn't manage to finish off there. Voidal clears out, picks up all of those souls, but it is Ninjas in Pyjamas starting out the Dragon. Gambit look to respond.
So they picked up the first one. It also allowed them to secure first blood when they started the first Dragon. Diamond is going to need to either flash in and steal. The hook doesn't land, and at the end of the day, NRP pick it up relatively uncontested. Yeah,
that is another Dragon for them. 4-4 in terms of kills, and just that 1,000 gold advantage spread as the two turrets have also gone down. Mame clears out this bottom wave. He's doing what Zach needs to do, and that's just sit passively farm off the sides until he becomes a tanky mess and just gets involved and spreads his love all over the opposition team.
On the condition that Darian is not getting the love of Mima Zach and he's not knocked up in the air multiple times, he should be able to sustain through the consistent damage of his opponents, because Caitlyn on hit, Jarvan on hit, Zach on hit with some ability damage, which means that Bloodthirster Aatrox can just continue right-clicking his way through a lot of that, especially if Mima continues to build a little bit tanky, which is what he's looking like right now.
Yep, you can see with that Bloodthirster completed, as well as Freeze with the Bloodthirster completed. Lichbane now completed also for Bjergsen. And looking like an Abyssal going to be coming out for Alex as his first item at the moment. We'll see whether that's the way he wants to go. Diamond, though, looking like they may try and dive towards Mima in this bottom lane. Could well see some pressure. Nope, Diamond's going to back off. Let him live.
Yeah, it's so difficult to gank a Zac, because not only has he got his elastic slingshot, he's just going to pop on Let's Bounce, get all the tenacity from that, and literally bounce away to safety. So does wisely decide to back off. With the Dragon picked up and a little bit of time to basically farm with impunity, Ninjas in Pyjamas now have 1,200 gold lead.
And Genshin's going to get himself a nice juicy fat stack. That's what an AD
This will balance it out.
This is the perfect thing for an AD carry to see. It's just like, yes, you've just pushed a giant wave for me to just free farm quite comfortably right next to my turret.
And I'm extremely happy to see Genja moving away from this sort of Tear the Goddess builds. It's going to give him much more impact. Now, Bjergsen does have Chum the Waters available. The range will basically hit that line of minions that Genja's standing behind. So if Genja moves forward, Playful Trickster is available, and Bjergsen could hop that wall.
Well, I think he's been spotted. Yeah, there's that ward at the blue buff. I don't know whether he got vision over it to begin with, but they are now chasing on towards him. Diamond's trying to sneak in there. They realise he's going to come around the side. Yeah, the moment the Voidal threw out that death sentence that gave their position away, but Ninja Pyjamas have 4 members pushing on this middle turret. Don't think they'll get it just this wave because the rest of Gambit have managed to react to it. And NIP forced to step away once again, but that's actually taken Genja away from his happy free farm time that he had in the bottom, top.
This is something that Genja does a lot whenever you look at Gambit games as well. He does like to spend a lot of free time solo, somewhat reminiscent of like Double Lift from CLGNA. Likes to farm up to items, and only once he has his items is he 100% comfortable committing to fights. You can see he's being forced to respond because of the numbers and the presence of NIP in the mid lane, and eventually we're going to have a 5v5. NIP backing away. They're not comfortable sieging yet.
No, Bjergsen's going to push down towards the bottom, though. Maybe see if he can keep the pressure on towards the bottom inner turret this time around. Remember, he has the Ignite available. Teleport's with him. And he's just waiting to see if he can catch any stragglers.
Yeah, he's looking for a pick. He knows that Gambit are going to respond to it. He knows that most likely it's going to be Genja, as you can see. Now, he's going to Playful Trickster over the wall and run into a man-bear pick not too far away. So this is a little scary for both Genja and Bjergsen.
He's gone. He's left him alone, and that may well actually put him in trouble. Forces the flash out of Genja. He'll be happy with that.
Didn't even use Chum the Water, so just Bjergsen's presence, you know, I'm letting you know I'm here, and I can kill you whenever I want to, is basically the message he's sending.
Well, now we're going to have a smite fight between Maluno and Diamond. Do either of them want to use the smite? Who desperately do they want this red? Oh, Chum the Water has come out. That's a big Earth. He just consumes Genja where he sits.
Yeah, Earth just nommed himself like Genja Varus, and it looked a little too easy. Now, Diamond Prox is a little bit out of position. NIP are starting to encroach. Bjergsen's playing the perfect bait game, and they've caught Diamond.
Oh, and he has to flash away, but it's not going to be enough. Cataclysm comes out, and we talked about it already, how easily he can get locked up once that Cataclysm's there. But Deficio caught out by the red stuff, just on a rejoin his team. Mima comes back in there. Darian now, he's going to get locked up. Bjergsen dives on towards him. He's going to get his passive pops. There's no way he's coming out of it. Trap already placed underneath him. You hear it come down there, and Mima picks up that kill. Good bait, really, from Bjergsen. All started off there.
Yeah, and very good play from NIP in general. They backed away. It was a clear call. NIP saying, look, there's a big wave in the bottom, so let's wait for Gambit to respond. I'll then commit and pull them towards me, and it worked perfectly. With 2 fishes on your team, who would have guessed you can make good bait?
While that's all happening, look at Alex Ich. Oh, there's a teleport coming out. Bjergsen's going to try and get in behind him. So Alex Ich actually up that mid lane. Bjergsen will give himself away, though, because that minion wave will spot him. But look at Bjergsen. He's going to try and head him off. He's going to try and teleport and back away from this one. Is he going to be quick enough? Deficio's locking him around the side.
10 seconds on the clock for Chum the Waters. Keep your eyes on the bottom left. Now, we flicked over to Alex. He does have flash available, and the question is it going to kill?
He does get a lock in. That Aqua Prism was beautiful, but he's already used the Playful Tricksters. Oh, tried to blind shot the Chum the Waters. He still has enough to get on towards Alex Ich, so he's going to try and go through. I reckon he might Playful Trickster through the Baron pit. No. Bjergsen thought he'd gone around. Instead, he's thinking, well, that's about the same amount of gold in this top wave. I may just get all this.
That was about 3 to 5 seconds difference. If the bubble had caught a couple seconds later, Bjergsen would have been able to land a very simple Chum the Waters, and that would have obviously followed Alex no matter where he went. But at the end of the day, they still got his flash. That's very, very important. So there's no flash available for Alex Ich in these next team fights, nor is the Bloodwell available for Darian's Aatrox. It's going to need another 2 minutes to cool down before it's available again.
And with the Dragon up in 15 seconds, looks like Ninja Pyjamas are in good position for this one. They won't have, or will they have Chum the Waters? They may do. Teleport is not available, though, so it doesn't matter. Bjergsen's already backed off, and he's going to come back in towards this Dragon area. Ninja Pyjamas, they are ready for this one. There is a ward down the bottom. Oh, look at that. Half the hit points with Ace in the hole on Alex Ich.
Fully stacked Bloodthirster plus a Last Whisper means that that Ace in the hole is really hitting hard. It's over 750 damage at base, plus all that armor penetration, which is why it chunks him down. Now, Diamond may consider going for a steal. He does have Smite, but I think wisely he's backing away.
Darian also stepping away from that one as Mima came in, tried to steal with the Piercing Arrow, but not going to happen this time around, and that's the 3rd Dragon of the game, I believe, for Ninja Pyjamas now, as they have a 3,500 gold lead over Gambit.
They're in a very good position right now, and I think they're playing their composition well. They do have good team fighting power with a Zac and a Jarvan, and if you can lock multiple people in Cataclysm and bounce all around with Zac at the same time, that's a lot of damage. But on the same token, they also know they've got an Assassin that's a one hit and run type of champion, so they're just waiting for the map to give them opportunities.
So we see Bjergsen head back in towards that top lane. He's going to clear out, continue the farming spree that he's doing, but it's not quite the spree that Alex has been happily having, and not the spree that the two AD carries have having. Freeze is a long way ahead.
We actually see a little bit lower CS numbers across the board, and I think it's because of the slightly stranger lane matchups that we've seen in the very early stages of the game.
Yeah.
So that meant those first 10 or 15 minutes of, I use the word very loosely, safe farming, was a little disrupted for both teams. Freeze is not afraid to use that ace in the hole as a simple, we want this objective, so please leave now kind of signal, as he throws that one down. Bjergsen found himself a Darien, there's no jump away.
And he's just used it, yeah. Chum the Waters goes straight in, that's just going to be massacre. That wasn't even close, it was like fishing.
Ironic that you say that word, because Massacre was just thrown on by Darien before he was killed. Now Mime has been caught by a charm, and Alex forced a little bit back from the auto attacks there of Freeze.
Well, they do have Bjergsen coming in around the side, of course, with that double buff on him. And the brilliant spot, instead he goes in. No blue buff to steal away. He can just keep free farming in that top wave, because Darian's just proved that he can't actually go 1v1 with him now.
Not at all. There's double null magic mantles not even playing into his favor. We do see that Mime was charging his slingshot. I don't think NIP are comfortable enough to tower dive, and with the fact that Bjergsen is putting so much damage in this top lane tower, they don't need to play risky. They don't need to overstay their welcome.
And that will be the first inner turret of the game going down. It's going to be, yes, his second one, isn't it? The bottom one's down as well.
Yeah, they got that from the previous team fights.
Yes. Yes, so the second inner turret of the game going down for Ninja Pyjamas. They've yet to touch his mid one, though. That will be the next focus of target for Ninja Pyjamas. But we see Bjergsen, he went back to buy. Stacks himself out. That's Zonya's Hourglass now on him as well. He is going to be annoying in the next team fight.
Yeah, to say the least. Not only is he untargetable with his E, he's going to be untargetable with that as well. And I think on the side of Gambit, we've got a double Null Magic and a Ruby Crystal for Darien, as well as a Null Magic and a Ruby Crystal for Diamond Prox. They may be going for a double Aegis of the Legion Runic Bulwark build. And it's not available in 3.10 anymore, but if you build it now on 3.9, the two people that own the buff gain double the statistics, whereas everyone else will only obviously get one of the auras.
Well, Darien doing what Darien does, and he's just continuing to split push and try and drive home that top area. Gambit, the rest of the team trying to give him support, offer him help, and try and get in towards that top turret as well. Alexic and Diamond up there. Voidal following behind. Genja's going an incredibly long way around instead of the rest of his team. Not too sure why he went that way, but nevertheless, Gambit will get this turret. Yeah, Ninjas and Pyjamas, they're going to have to react now if they want to fight for it.
Now Gambit had the numbers and needed a couple more auto attacks. They decide to play safely, and it's because Bjergsen was down in the bottom lane. So without Alex there for the charm and the burst damage that Ari offers, they backed away. Genja, because of his extremely long hike around the Baron pit, he wasn't able to get those last couple hits. But nonetheless, the next time they focus it down, that will be a very quick tower.
It always interests me why, when they do moves like that, why he didn't just follow the rest of his team, like his support player maybe, or the tanky Bearman Pig that was with him that would have done the stun work for him.
It's a question we'll have to pose to them the next time they're on the interview couch.
Yes, not too sure. Oh dear me, they're gonna. Oh, Chum the Water's completely missed.
Ooh. Earth, unfortunately, not a happy camper. He's tasted Genja once, unable to taste him the second time round. Now, Dragon shouldn't be too far away from respawning, so it'll be up in the next sort of 2 or so minutes. I would imagine that vision and control in the bottom half of the map is going to be testament for NIP. They've taken 3 already, and they're looking to make it number 4.
Red buff goes to Genja. And this is NIP. They are closing this one out slowly. They're not in any hurry. And well, they have a good lead, and they have a pretty good late game team, but it's not the greatest.
Now, while we see Mima maybe thinking to jump on Darren, if somebody else responds, he may go for a kill. Instead, he's just going to push him away. Let's take a look at the gold numbers right now, because not only is it a 5,000 total gold, but you can see that Darian's sitting on 1,700. Alex is sitting on 1,500. So that gap is actually even wider, because effective gold has not been spent. And we do see that numbers were a little bit higher for a few more of them, but in the last couple of seconds, Diamond Prox has picked himself up that Aegis of the Legion, and Genja has secured himself a last Whisper.
Well, Alex will tick up that blue buff, and now actually the mid lane's been a little bit exposed here, and Instant Pyjamas might be able to get themselves onto this one quick sharp if Gambit don't react. Hit the turret! There's no one there!
I think NIP are just playing this very, very safely. They realize they've got a lead, and they don't want to overstay their welcome. unless they're 100% sure. And when you consider that of their team's 8 kills, 5 of them is on Bjergsen, and Bjergsen's not there, you can sort of see where the hesitation comes from.
Yeah, it's actually been Bjergsen that's been taking down the turrets as well. He is the turret pusher, so let's hope he's going to keep pushing down and taking that inhibitor turret. That seems to be his focus target. The rest of NIP, now that Genja is not there, they're going to go for it. They're going to drive in there. Will it be enough, though?
Slingshot charged.
On towards it. Mimer's thinking of launching. Bjergsen's heading in actually from the side as well. No, not going to go for it instead. They're just going to buy time because look at Bjergsen. He's almost on the inhibitor turret.
So he's going to carry on pushing that wave down. The 4 members of NIP, they're using the elastic slingshot as a deterrent. It's basically saying we could pull the trigger on our globule nuke if you stick around long enough. And it's forcing Gambit to back away every time Mimer starts to charge that up.
He's realized that Alex came back, but he's kind of stepped away from this one. They're going for Dragon. The bait is there. Now he's actually on the inhibitor turret. Now he flicks away. Playful Trickster again. He managed to get 1 hit there, but the rest of Gambit, they know that he's not there. Of course, does have teleport. Dragon picked up. 4th Dragon for NLP.
Piercing arrow just a tiny bit late there from Genja. And actually may have been able to steal that one away, but instead, they just miss it in the last couple seconds. And NIP just continuing to slowly strangle the life out of Gambit here. They're controlling the waves, they're controlling the lanes. They're finally going to get some damage down on the tower. Slingshot is charged, and Mimer backs away once again.
Aqua Prison not quite finding the target right now. Oh, actually, Darien going aggressive onto Bjergsen now, launches himself in.
And he's thrown his ultimate down as well. So Massacre is up for the next sort of 8 or so seconds. They're going to wait for that to wear off, and that's a very big bonus here for NIP if they want to pick a fight.
See whether they go for it. They may well realize it instead. Bjergsen hops, skips and jumps, and he's going back across towards that top lane. He wants to keep the pressure on towards the inhibitor turret while they happily... I mean, this is an outer turret, so NIP happy to stand the ground here because they've got easy defensive fallback.
Now, there's not much that... not much Gambit can do outside of landing a good charm or a hook. That's their ghost signal, whereas with Bjergsen coming in from the back, if a Chum the Waters lands, this could be it, and there they go!
There they go. The Aqua Prison finally finds its home. It's Diamond Procs they land in. Mimer comes in. Let's Bounce is there. Chum the Waters has been thrown out. That manages to land. No, it misses its target. Balluno has to flash away from that one. Mimer gets back in there. Bjergsen does get taken down. It's a great turnaround for Gambit. You get to see Alex Inch. He picks up 1. Mimer gets away with it, though. It was a 2 for 0, and it was Gambit that came out on top.
The tower still stands, and NIP were a little bit half-hearted in that engagement. A couple of guys dived. A couple of guys stood back on the tower, and they just got split up completely. Very luckily as well, Genja used his flash and his barrier to stay alive and got a very good chain of corruption, locking up members of NIP to prevent the continued chase.
So, the siege not working out like they planned it there, Ninjas and Pyjamas. And while they had their supercharged fish flying through the air, the shutdown bonus gold was given across to, I believe, Alex Itch, and probably not really, no. It was actually...
Yeah, it was Alex.
It was Alex.
Plus 432 gold for taking down Bjergsen. So that's allowed him to finish up that DFG. He's going to be able to at least burst more targets down if he lands a good charm in the not-too-distant future.
And Voidal has got himself the Oracle. He's starting to clear out the Drop Baron. And we said this before too many times. You can't give Gambit little details like this. They will start ripping your limbs off if you just give them a little scent of blood.
Give them a finger, they'll take an arm, is the traditional. And right now, they're still 6,000 gold behind, 5,000 gold behind, rather. And they're still at threat of being insta-gear, but Bjergsen has missed both of his previous Chum the Waters. This one, however, gets flashed away, but nevertheless, flash burn, that's a successful use.
Another flash burn. Oh, piercing arrow lands. And they're back in the middle.
One of the things that's very good for Gambit is their line wave clear. Blades of Torment there on Aatrox is maxed out, deals a lot of damage. Orb of Deception, true damage on the return flight, as well as that piercing arrow from Varus. That means that those minion waves, as long as they're conga lining up, just get destroyed very, very quickly.
And you can see now it's actually Gambit that are actually starting to pull the driving force, starting to push them out. While it was sitting on the turret a moment ago, they're actually pushing those waves out there, and it's bought time for Genja again to be off down the bottom, taking away the golems. Big wave in there. They may, just may, finally start split pushing themselves and giving that little bottom turret a nudge.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's on the cards for Gambit. We've seen Darien doing a pretty good job of it in the early stages of the game, but since this, I mean, this has been 7 to 10 minutes in this mid lane where we've been trying to get the tower down as far as NIP are concerned. Darien's just been forced to use that line missile of his to control the wave and stay in a good defensible position. It seems to be working out for Gambit at the very least. They're farming themselves into this game. They were significantly further behind a couple minutes ago.
They certainly were. They're dragging themselves, screaming and kicking back into this match, and Ninja Pyjamas are kind of letting them have it. They need to turn one advantage they had early on into some sort of goal. And is this merely down to sort of the lull that Caitlyn has in power, so they've not been able to push pressure with their AD carries, or just simply they have to have Bjergsen there because he is the main killer?
I think that's the latter. I think it has more to do with the fact that Bjergsen has been split pushing and trying to control the top and the bottom waves than it has to do with Freeze's lull in power, because he's had that Blade of the Room, he's had that Bloodthirst and Lost Whisper for a while. Teleport into Baron Pit. Gambit are trying to respond, but it'll take them a little bit of time.
Yeah, Bjergsen drew 3 members of NIP back now. I just heard of Zonya's Hourglass.
Yes, Zonya's Hourglass was popped by Bjergsen. Now they've managed to take the Baron, which is a great pickup. If Chum the Waters lands, someone might be dead.
It does get thrown out, gets onto Voidal. He's going to get Ace in the hole as well. He gets dropped very quickly. Mima jumps in on there. The Aqua Prison not quite finding his home. But NIP, very clever. That was all about Bjergsen. Split pushing, drew 3 members of Gambit towards him in the bottom lane.
And not only that, because of the damage that Freeze has been able to complete already with the Last Whisper, the Bloodthirster, Zeal, etc., and the percentage damage from Zac in there, they shredded that Baron so quickly. They finally picked up the tower. It's taken them 12 minutes to do so, but finally it's down.
Positional advantage play, and maybe that long drawn-out siege was simply a case of, we will time out the wards.
There could definitely have been a possibility. The Genja build has just been completed. GA, Last Whisper, and Bloodthirster, so we'll most likely see Genja working towards his Infinity Edge next, which is his standard itemization. And for the time being, against the insta-kill potential that the Fizz offers, Bjergsen now has one less preferred target as far as his ulti is concerned.
15 seconds on Dragon. I'm not sure they're worried about that. The charm lands on Bjergsen now. Has to play from Trickster away. Is it going to be enough? Chum the Water's thrown out beautifully. Catches on. Diamond gets consumed. Darien taken low. Mima goes down though, but it's a double kill being picked up for Freeze. Can he turn it into any more? No. Aqua Prisons was flown out simply to keep him at bay, and the passive of Mima was popped on the tower. That was a 2-for-1.
2-for-1, and you consider that it was Bjergsen that got charmed first, so that was them being caught and making the best of that situation. Overall, not too bad, but a lot of damage still stands between Varus and Ari, so they clear out that wave very quickly, and the minions do the work that Gambit have been unable to do for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it took a long time to do it, but finally the minions do take down that top inner turret, and that makes it 5-3 in terms of turrets between the teams. Dragon, the 5th Dragon, I believe, of the game, or the 6th, not too sure what we're at right now, but it has been NIP taking every single one of them away from Gambit.
Yeah, against a team that's, you know, most prolifically known for their Dragon control, Gambit simply haven't left their half of the map. I mean, I'm going to call them out on that one. They haven't been able to push past the river at all. They haven't put damage on towers as far as their champions are concerned, but they've caught Freeze out.
They have, and it's going to be Genji coming in. Hail of Arrows, there's no way he's going to escape this one, even with a 90 caliber net, and it's going to be a piercing arrow that finishes the job.
And the moment they do push past the river, they manage to pick themselves up a kill. So Gambit may start playing a little bit of this split pushing power themselves now. However, with Freeze going back, he's just completed a Phantom Dancer and an Infinity Edge simultaneously. That is a terrifying, terrifying Caitlyn.
That's a 3-member Gambit push, actually. Diamond's going to come around, put that ward placement down. Instead, the rest of the teams will step away from this one. They thought about continuing that driving force, but look at Bjergsen again. He's on the hunt.
Bjergsen, if he lands Chum the Waters, that's the story. He stood right on top of a ward. I'm not sure if Bjergsen would have seen. They probably did, but it is just around a corner, so there's a slim possibility he was out of sight.
Yeah, well, the fact that he still stood there tells me he didn't see that go down, so it's just that slight vision hitch that you can have sometimes when he's just around the corner.
Alternatively, it could have been a bait. It could have been saying, hey, yeah, I seen the ward. Do you really want to come at me?
Yeah.
And if he's holding a couple people in place on top of the wards, as you can see by the Wraith Camp, for example, maybe Bjergsen just putting a little bit of psychological play in there.
Instead, he's back to the bottom lane, and he's farming again, just keeping those waves sleeping clear, driving the minions in towards it. He managed to get the Baron last time for his team, last time he did this. When he's going to come back up towards that red buff, swings back around that.
Was thinking about it, didn't have Playful Trickster available, so a full burst combo of the REQ is not going to be enough to take him down as it was on cooldown.
Instead, he goes back down to the bottom. He managed to clear it out. The rest of NIP, they want to push on towards this inner turret, so it's a case of defend your inhibitor turret, or we will take your inner. He's going to get straight back up there. He may catch out on towards Voidal. Voidal, he throws out the hook. I'm not sure though you want to hook on towards Bjergsen. Instead, they will keep their wave clear because, as you mentioned at the start, they've got great wave clear potential, Gambit.
NIP are going to keep this sort of pause button going for another 30 or 40 seconds because teleport is almost available for Bjergsen. And my assumption is that Bjergsen's going to go to this top lane, clear out the very big wave, and they'll continue trying to focus a tower down. The last inner tower that's standing for Gambit is in that mid lane. And I think we're just going to see a repeat of the sort of 20 to 30 minute game where keep focusing your towers, get some vision, allow Bjergsen to split push.
Well, the kills are at 9-11, but we have an emergency here because there is a farming session going on and some sort of energy liquid might be required to keep us going because this is definitely going to be a slow one. And why not? Because if you look at the table right now, they are so tightly packed. Gambit on 11-10. We've just seen Ninjas and Pyjamas, Fnatic, getting beaten, so they're on 12-10. Evil Geniuses are up to 11-11. Ninjas and Pyjamas are on 10-11, so if they win this one, they'd be equal on terms with Gambit. If Gambit win this one, they'd be equal on terms with Fnatic. It is so tight right now. They're all fighting for positions to make it through to the Season 3 World Finals. And of course, let's not forget, if they get through to the Season 3 World Finals with those players, they secure themselves a position in Season 4.
Something that's very interesting to note is that going to the playoffs before we even get to any of the World Finals, third place 6th and fourth place 5th. So even though they're super tied right now, it's the head-to-head records that are going to determine who's actually going into those positions. And if they're tied 2-2, we're actually going to play even more games at the end of Super League. There's going to be best of one deciders. So there's a whole lot on the line. I think NIP in this game, they feel the pressure. They don't want to lose because both of these teams did lose yesterday. And even though NIP are still 8,000 gold ahead, Alex should take that one. They're not 100% sure how to make this advantage stick because the previous tower dive they had failed quite terribly.
And remember, Gambit play Lemon Dogs after this as well as Ninjas and Pyjamas. They play Meat Your Makers, so Gambit have a pretty tough week ahead of them so far. And it hasn't worked out so well just yet. There's going to be the Cataclysm, though. Diamond locked up in that one. He seems to be the focused target.
The tidal wave.
The tidal wave catches 3 members. He's going to see Voidal. Voidal will get dropped. Chain of Corruption lands on towards Maluna. That may be the death of him on the tower. Yes, it will be. It was a 1-for-1 trade. And look in the waiting in the wings. It is a bird. Is it a plane? No, it's Bjergsen on a ward.
Now we'll have to see how effectively his Chum the Waters can be because Freeze was untouched in that fight. The double bubble holds Deficio and Alex up in the air while they take the tower down. So 1-for-1 trade. Jungle for support's not something you ever want to do, but if you secure the tower, it worked out in favor of NIP at the end of the day.
And that's the tower. So they back off. 6 seconds on the Baron, and that will be the next focus of target, I feel. And Gambit already trying to push out. They need to get some ward placements down there. They don't have any coverage whatsoever of that ward area, or the river, in fact.
Now, we'll have to see how Darian impacts these next team fights, because in the previous engagement, he was able to survive through it, was able to put a lot of damage down, and with his Spirit Visage completed, he's going to have even more regen. But he hasn't been a threat to Freeze or Bjergsen right now. He's been sticking on the Mimer and the Maluno that's diving into him. He needs to disrupt the backline, disrupt Freeze's game to help Gambit win their team fights. And if he can do that, that's going to be the key to Gambit rolling through and taking objectives of their own. Close. Every time you see that playful trickster coming out, I think Darian actually jumped away from that one. Yeah, he used the Dark Flight. He was terrified. He was scared of the trickster landing and it being followed up with a giant earth lobster there from Bjergsen. But he manages to get away. Quick trigger fingers as far as his movement abilities are concerned.
Off at the side, and I was just wondering whether Gambit were going to get launched upon. Instead, they throw out that death sentence. Look at this, though. Mimer's ready to go. Is he going to launch himself? They're stood on the wards. No. Cancels it.
Mimer is playing very, very defensive with those slingshots. Now we do see Maluna on the other hand. He's got Cataclysm. He locks Diamond Prox in.
And Diamond Prox is going to get caught. Aqua Prison's in there as well. Let's Bounce comes out from Mimer. That's going to be Diamond Prox taken down. There goes Alex Hinch. This is trouble now for Gambit. You see Genja, he gets slowed down. Chum the Waters will catch him. Guardian Angel's not going to save you here. That's for damn sure. Darian also getting locked in. You can see Freeze is getting around the side there. He was the focus target, manages to get away. Turns back in there, gets sniped out. And that's going to be another kill. Darian goes down. That's a double for Bjergsen. It's a 4-0. Great engaged by Ninjas and Pyjamas.
Yeah, brilliant play indeed. And we were talking about in the Champion Select how Udyr can be cancelled by Cataclysm, how he can be controlled if you lock him in a cage. And that is exactly what Maluno did. Around the side, Alexic tried to burst out Freeze, but I think he ended up hitting Deficio with a full combo with the DFG, and it wasn't the target that he wanted to. And because NIP was so tightly knit, they just focused Alexic's Ahri down so incredibly quickly, and then turned to the rest of the team. Well played, NIP.
So second of the Baron of the game for Ninjas in Pyjamas. This time they will get themselves that inhibitor turret. The rest of Gambit only just spawning in time, but unfortunately they will lose the turret. Not too sure they're going to get the inhibitor though. The turret certainly will go. Will they stick around? Yes, they will. They're going to fight for
Teleport's
this.
available. So if Bjergsen, if a fight breaks out, he could teleport in. We'll have to keep an eye on the map. Decided against it now. Inhibitor's down.
Now he's teleporting in. That's going to be... Oh, Aqua Prison did quite land on Alexic. Get away from that one. Teleport came from Bjergsen, but the rest of the team are going to back away safely. Bjergsen now with the GA.
So that was a pretty brave call. If they'd picked up kills there, NIP could have pushed on to finish, but instead Alex was able to flash to safety, which meant that there was no more pressure. So teleport is now down, and Bjergsen's going to be stealing this blue buff away, and he's basically killed that in like 3 auto attacks in his combo. That's a lot of damage.
He's got full build. I mean, he's got a Zhonya's and a GA. He is going to be really frustrating to fight against right now. He's sitting off to the side. He's going for Alex Itzer. Thought about it, tried to bait out, just sidesteps the charm.
So he's only got 740 ability power. He's just diving up to Darren, gets knocked up in the air. GA is there. Chum the Waters is down.
Oh, he's being very confident. Puts Chum the Waters, and in comes Mima, bouncing in for the rescue. He has still got that Guardian Angels. Mima's going to use Let's Bounce to get away from this one. They don't want to give the Baron back just yet.
It's not over.
How confident they are. Hail of Arrows, that slows him down.
So they did have to burn the Let's Bounce to get to safety, but they picked up a kill from that. After Bjergsen got caught and chased down by 3 members of Gambit, NIP are the ones that come out with a kill. They have a 15,000 gold lead right now, and they're in a very commanding position with Baron and Super Minions going down the mid lane.
Very, very strong Ninjas in Pyjamas now. It's theirs to win. They have that 15,000 gold lead. Can they complete it and turn it into a victory?
One of the most important items has just been picked up there by Freeze. He's just secured himself a frozen mallet. And against an Udyr and Aatrox, who we were talking about, who are so easy to understand where the threat comes from, Freeze is just going to stutter step away. Land an auto attack, step away. Land an auto attack, step away. Udyr and Aatrox should, in theory, never be able to catch him, because he's got his 90 caliber net as well as the on-hit slow. That's a brilliant pickup for Freeze.
Something I have actually noticed is the fact that Diamondbox, he generally goes down the first. He's actually the focus target. They are, as soon as he comes in, they're getting the bubble on him. The Aqua Prism, Maluna tends to jump on Cataclysm, and they just focus him down before they get a chance to do anything. Ace in the hole, still doing almost half the hit points to Alexic.
It's not super amounts of HP and survivability from Diamondbox's Udyr. He's only got the Runic Bulwark and a Giant's Belt. In comparison, Maluna's been able to finish off his Warmogs and got a Ruby Sightstone to complete it out. So NIP with the HP and numbers advantage, they're pushing the bottom lane. Bjergsen's coming from the sides.
Yeah, he's trying to slide in there. That's going to be the inhibitor turret going down. Now the inhibitor will follow this time around. They're not going to be bullied away from it just as easily as they were before. They should be able to lock up Gambit here on this final inhibitor push. There's going to be the bottom one. They could rotate around to the top. Will they bother, or will they just go straight for the Nexus turrets? That's the question.
They're going to go to the top lane first. I think this is going to be another playbook by the numbers. Now, if anyone gets caught by a good knockup, Bjergsen's jumped in, the Chum the Waters is available, and even though Maluna was charmed, it wasn't enough for Gambit to pick a fight. NIP are going to stall as long as they can. That's a lot of damage down on Genja.
Chum the Waters on Genja, doesn't have the Guardian Angels available. The Ignite goes down on him, has to use the barrier, does manage to survive, but Voidler gets dropped. That's Alexic using the Zhonya's. It's going to just buy him a little bit of time, and while that's all happening, Diamond gets taken down by Bjergsen as well. That's going to be on the fountain, actually. Freeze trying to pad out that KDA. Doesn't matter, they get him towards the Nexus turret. The Charm almost pulls him into the fountain. Freeze steps away. Dude, on the fountain as well. We saw Bjergsen playful trickster in and out. Mima taken incredibly low by the minions. Now Darian's going to get locked up. He dives back towards the fountain. The Nexus turrets are going to drop. It's going to be Ninjas in Pyjamas that take down Gambit Gaming here in Week 8 of the LCS.
Absolutely brilliant, calculated play coming out of Ninjas in Pyjamas. They made one tower dive mistake during the course of that game, realized that they weren't that powerful, and didn't do that again. They strangled the life out of Gambit, controlled the lanes, controlled the towers, and controlled the time that team fights would engage.
And they've gone down now 3-1 to Ninjas in Pyjamas over the season. So NIP holding a good reign over Gambit, and a really well played out match by them.
Yeah, and with that victory, that puts Gambit and NIP tied at 11-11. And because of the head-to-head record that you just touched on, if the tie sticks towards playoffs, NIP will advance ahead of Gambit because of that 3-1 record, and that is a brilliant, very important game for that team.